Hello and welcome to a hot and sunny Auckland. Yep, look out the window there, it's all lovely and sunny. I've even had to move from my normal seat because it was too sunny side of the seat. But yes, welcome to Let's Talk Picking Favourites. I'm Paul, the guy behind DrivingMaul, and I do a lot of picking. You will have seen my prediction posts or videos about Super Rugby, the Viva Premiership, Top 14, Pro 12, International Rugby, and all of that kind of stuff. So it's something I do on at least a weekly basis, if not 2 or 3 times a week. But I was reading an article by, who was it again? By My Top Sports Books the other day, and they had Kiwis' favourites for the 2018 HSBC Sevens World Series, which got me thinking as to how do we pick and choose favourites, because let's be honest, the Kiwis or the All Black Sevens has not been great over the last couple of seasons. This season, for example, the All Black Sevens came 4th in the standings and didn't even make one final. The winners of the tournaments were South Africa, England, Canada, and Scotland, and also Fiji picked up the Hong Kong Sevens as well. So, and let's be honest, those last couple of games, tournaments, the Blitz blocks had already gone and won the series. So I think a few teams were easing off or had injuries. And then if we look historically at the World Seven Series as to how New Zealand has done, whilst they have the most wins with something like, I think it's 12 wins, championships, to Fiji's 3, 2 for South Africa, 1 for Samoa. No one else has ever won the World Series. They haven't won it for 3 years. South Africa obviously won it this year, and Fiji won the 2 previous ones. And in the last two wins that Fiji won, New Zealand ended up coming 3rd. So they've not really been setting the light, setting the world light on the World 7 Series over the last few years, and yet somehow the bookies have them as the favourites. So how does that happen? And let's actually just look at how favourite they are as well. So I'm not a big betting person, so I don't really understand odds very much, and I never actually bet. But New Zealand are at 13-7. South Africa come second favourites at 3-1. Then you have Fiji at 17-3, England at 9-1, and the USA at 30-1. So what they're saying here is that New Zealand, by the looks of things, are more than 3 times as likely as England to win the World Series, even though England won tournaments this year and New Zealand didn't, and I say they finished above them as well. So I think what I'm trying to say here is that whilst we often look at the bookies' odds to decide who is favourites, that A, well, they may not know the sport that they're talking about, but B, they're not driven by who is most likely to win, but they're driven by profit. So where does the money go? They follow the money. At the end of the day, their aim is to pay out X% less than they take in, effectively. So even if we all think that Team A in an A-B race is more likely to win than Team B, if everybody puts their money on Team B will have shorter odds and be favourites in the bookies' eyes because we've got to balance the books around this. Now, of course, they set the odds early on with expectations around the teams to encourage people to gamble. It's not like the tote where they decide the odds after everyone has put the money in and just before the race. And so the tote always takes a set amount, and everyone who backs that horse or dog or whatever has the same odds. But they will follow the money to make sure that whoever wins X%, and I don't know what that percentage is, they get. So actually looking at their odds isn't about who is most likely to win. It's about where the money is going and where people are putting the money, which may be where they think they're going to win, which is different, and which is what has clearly happened in this case. The All Blacks brand has a lot of strength, and if you ask anybody My top sports book is a North American based website, so you ask anyone in North America to name a rugby team, about the only one they'll ever be able to name is the All Blacks. And so by having that label, it attracts money and will skew the odds. So I guess if you're a gambler, hey, head over to the States if you know more about rugby than the bookies do. So we should really be using that to say who's going to win next year. Is kind of what I'm saying. Also, if actually having a look at this thing, they talk about South Africa having lots of young players like Snatler, who's got to play Super Rugby, so I don't know if he'll be back playing sevens next season, we'll see. And obviously with the news now that England, Scotland and Wales might be merging to form Team GB, we don't even know if England will actually exist as a sevens team either. But that's by the by, really. It's about this. So how do I go about picking things? Because I pick every single week. Now, I pick not for gambling, but I pick for prediction leagues and for fun, for discussing, to drive discussions about the games and about the rugby, because I just love talking and writing about rugby. And so what I do, I look at the two teams. I'll look at their form, generally mainly in that competition than others, because that's the sites that I have give me that information to hand. They also give me the historic records or results between the two teams, but generally I don't look at those too closely. What I look at is mainly the form over the last sort of 6-7 games, and look at their home and away form. And also, because I predict all these games all the time, I have an idea in my head as to who is the better side, and there'll be certain prejudices as well. So, for example, Harlequins this season won most of their home games and lost most of their away games. And they end up winning half and losing half their games. There only about one or two games at most that went against the sort of win at home, lose away rule. So for them, it was very easy. You see if Harlequins are playing, and unless they're playing someone like Saracens at home or Bristol away, you just use the home or away rule around that. So there are set rules that you kind of come up with during a season around teams. Worcester are also another side that tend to travel horribly and pick up most of their points, if not all of them, at home. So again, there's another team that you choose in that kind of style. Then, as Hugh Cavill on the Green and Gold Rugby podcast says, if you're in Super Rugby, for example, you always back if there's a New Zealand side playing anybody else, you back the New Zealand side, not the other one. Just because again, percentage-wise, that's how the results tend to go. But what I do, I look at that form. I take in what I've watched, as in watching the play, games I've seen. I take in what I've heard on the sort of 7 or so podcasts that I listen to. I take in what I've read on all of the reports and stuff, and then I make pretty much a snap decision. I'll just go. So you go big? No, it's not quite just putting my finger in the air, but I try not to overthink it personally. I find the more I overthink it, the more complicated I make it, and generally I'll talk myself out of my original decision. So basically I make a snap decision, having looked at those sort of things, which one I think it's going to be. It's more sort of gut than otherwise. And how good is that? Well, last season I paired up with, I've gone blank, Rugby Numbers I think it is, who takes a statistical approach. So he's got his own algorithm, feeds in all the results, takes into account whether they're home or away as well, and then it comes up with who is most percentage-wise most likely to win. And I think out of the two of us, he won by 1 round last year in Super Rugby. Pardon me, with me choosing my gut and him using the stats. So it's a pretty accurate way of doing this kind of things, or as accurate as numbers. Now, obviously, we love the upsets, and that's why we watch rugby and watch sport, is because you don't know who is definitely going to win these things. But that's how I go about choosing my predictions. So let me know. Always up for good rugby chat. Let me know how you do predictions and how you choose who you think is going to win down below in the comments, or tweet me back and say always up for good rugby chat. Don't forget to sign up for my newsletter, link above or down below in YouTube, and share this with your friends and find out how they also predict their rugby or other sports events. It's kind of something that's ticking away in my mind as being something that's kind of interesting to have a chat about. Cheers. Don't forget the thumbs up on YouTube.